Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Pyari Sat Sangat Ji, we're all gathered today in the Pawan Pavitra Hazuri of Satguru, Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, the King of Kings, the Saint of Saints, and the Saviour of this world and the next. And as we've all gathered today, over the last 500 years, ever since 1469, right to the present day, people have come to this darbar from all four corners of the world. And they've come here representing every faith group, every religion, every political ideology, every caste, every creed, every nation. And they've come from a variety of different backgrounds as well, from the wealthiest king to the poorest beggar, from the highest saint to the lowest sinner, from the mightiest warrior to the weakest slave. And they've all come here with different intentions for differing reasons. While some have come to add to the flower that is Sikhi, other people have come to try and exterminate it. While some people have come here full of humility and devotion, other people have come full of hatred and darkness. While some have come full of love, others have come full of ego and pride. While some have come with offerings of flowers, other people have come with armies, tanks, guns, soldiers. But no matter what reason they came over here, no matter what their purpose was, this darbar is the only one in the world that greets every single person in exactly the same way. Everyone is greeted by Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj with complete open arms, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. None of these questions are asked. Now in this way, I was speaking the other day to a Hindu Bibi at a workplace of mine, and she said that she came to this country a very long time ago. And she came here from India, from southern India, as a student. And when she first came here, she said she didn't know anyone, and she was staying in a very remote place where there weren't very many Indian families, where there weren't very many Asian families. And she felt very, very alone. And she said she went around the city trying to approach anyone, trying to see if there were any people who understood where she came from, so she wouldn't feel very lonely. But she couldn't find anyone. At her university course, there weren't such people. And she was very shy to approach the local people as well. So it was a very difficult scenario she found herself in. And like all of us, when we have problems, we approach our parents. So she spoke to her parents on the phone, and they tried to give her all the help, all the courage that they could give her. And they told her to try and look around. Maybe there might be a Hindu mandir. Maybe there might be a place that she could go to. And in this way, she went around looking for a mandir. But she said that she couldn't actually find one. She looked in the yellow book and the yellow pages. This is before the internet was that popular. And she couldn't find this place. And she was very, very disheartened because she thought to herself, what sort of place have I come to? Why have I come to this place? Where no one wants to know me, no one wants to speak to me, no one wants to engage with me. And she was completely alone. And she vented out her frustrations on herself. But she said that one day as she was walking along, a thought came into her head that I'm going to leave this country. There's nothing over here for me. There's no people who care about me. And she said that as she was walking along, she looked up to the sky. And what did she see when she looked up? This Bibi said she saw a Nishan Sahib. The Nishani of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that symbol that shows the world, this is the one place for every single person. Who does not find a place in this darbar? And she said that although she'd never been to Gurdwara Sahib, although she wasn't very religious, in southern India itself, she recognized what this meant, what this sign was. And in this way, she decided to go into the Gurdwara Sahib. And she wasn't sure what she'd expect. She wasn't sure if anyone would approach her. She wasn't sure if anyone would speak to her. But she still recognized the Nishan Sahib, what that represented. And she walked into the Gurdwara Sahib, and she said even before she went and had darshan of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, the Sangat had already sat her down and fed her langar. This was the first time in a month that she'd had anything. And she said for the next 4 days, she went to the Gurdwara Sahib every single day. And she ate to her heart's content. The Sangat over there gave her all sorts of moral support, all sorts of support that she wanted. Everything she ever wanted was there. Now it's very interesting because the other day I was listening to a speech of Sant Gyani Baba Jarnail Singh Ji, and Sant Ji delivered the speech on the 11th of May 1983. And in that speech, Sant Ji is talking about the uniqueness of Sikhi, the uniqueness of the Dharam of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And in it, he asked the question to the Sadh Sangat that, can a Muslim ever place his head in a Hindu mandir? Can he ever place his forehead on that floor? Can a Hindu ever go to a mosque and place his head on the floor over there? And Khalsa Ji, he asked the question that, has anyone ever been turned away from the Darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, from the Darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj? You'll never hear of it. And Sant Ji further goes on to say that he's travelled around India. He's gone to the different religious institutions around India. One of them that he mentions is the Buddha temple, which is near Bihar. And this is a very spiritual place. A lot has happened over here. This is the place where Buddha is said to get enlightenment. So for Buddhists, it's a very, very spiritual place. And Sant Ji says that when he went over there, he was very, very impressed with the whole building, with the whole complex, because they spent a lot of money to build it. Millions and millions of pounds, millions of dollars were spent on this complex. But Sant Ji says something very, very clear. He says that if you even wanted a glass of water, you still had to pay half a rupee for it. He said, you travel the whole world, go to any temple, any mosque, any mandir, any synagogue, any church. You'll never find a line of people queuing for free food. You won't find them in a mosque, in a synagogue, in a mandir, in a church, in a temple. It's only in the Darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, only in the Darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj will you find queues and queues of people. This is the nishani, this is the beauty, this is the uniqueness of this path of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Now, we're celebrating the Prakash Utsav of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And it's very, very important to realize that before Satguru Ji took physical birth in this world, Mata Gujri Kaur and Satguru Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj did bhakti for over 20 years. You can go to that Asthan in Baba Bakala Ji for that place, to see that pora. But this is another story that we take from our history. And it's the time when Mata Ganga Ji, at the second time of asking, went to Baba Buddha Ji under the instructions of Satguru Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj to go and ask for something. In the same way that we come to the Darbar with all our hopes, all our prayers, all our desires, all our wants, and place them at the feet of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. In the same way, Mata Ganga Ji went to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj and placed her hopes at his feet. And the instruction was to go to Baba Buddha Ji, the Brahmgyani Baba Buddha Ji. And who is Baba Buddha Ji? Why is it important that we think about Baba Buddha Ji? Because Baba Buddha Ji is the lighthouse of Sikhi. If we ever want to know how to live our lives, if we want to ever know how to conduct ourselves, we look at the Jivan of Baba Buddha Ji. In this way, Mata Ganga Ji went with complete humility the second time, without any shoes on her feet. And she walked all the way to the Asthan, which is about 20 kilometers away from Amritsar. And Baba Buddha Ji gave the var when Mata Ganga Ji made this request. And this var is recorded in Guru Granth, where it says, Tumre grah pargate ta joda, jako bal gun kino soda. And it said, when the var was uttered, when the bachan was uttered by Baba Buddha Ji, that the sky itself shook, that the earth itself shook, to show the world what sort of power was coming into the earth. Because Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj reached the peaks of warriorship, but the peaks of compassion as well. Because if you look at the words of Bhai Gurdas Ji, he describes it very, very beautifully, where he says that Guru Sahib was a Vad Jodha, a very, very powerful warrior, but he had Bo Parabhari, that benevolence, that kindness, that compassion. And if we look at some of the items of Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, we begin to realize from a physical perspective how big Satguru Ji was. What an amazing warrior Satguru Ji was. This is a picture of the chola of Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj that's kept at Gurdwara Chola Sahib. We can see that Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj was over 6 foot tall, was very, very powerful, was the vanquisher of armies. But Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj was full of humility, was full of love. There's a very, very beautiful story from the life of Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj of a blind Gursikh. I'm sure many of you have heard of this story. And this blind Gursikh used to ask people, how did Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj look? What were they doing? What sort of bachans were they saying? Because of his blindness, he couldn't leave his house. He couldn't go and have darshan. He couldn't go and sit in Sat Sangat. But he kept attached to Shri Mul Mantar Sahib. He kept attached to Shri Guru Mantar Sahib. And anyone who passed his house, any Sikh that he would hear, anyone, he would ask them to tell them stories of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. Ask them to describe the darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. And in this way, one day, he became very, very upset. In Birag, he began to cry tears of love. And he said, Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, I want to be blessed with your darshan. And in this way, he began to destroy his house. He began to destroy everything that he had. Because he was so annoyed, not with Guru Sahib, not with God, but with himself for being blind. And this way, he was sat at his house. He left his house. It was raining outside. On the other side, what happened? Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj told all his Sikhs to get ready, told them to get the horses ready. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And the Sangat was very surprised. They said, why is Guru Sahib going? Where is he going at this time? And Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj told the Sangat that my Sikh is calling out for me. I would definitely go to my Sikh. And as the Sikh was crying on the floor, as he would hurt himself, as he'd fallen over, as he began to cry out for Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, what happened? He felt two very strong arms lift him up. Because remember, we talk about warriors, we talk about people who are very big, who are very strong. They look up, they never look down. They only look down at people to show how big they are. But look at Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, who will only ever look down to pick someone up. In this way, Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj picked up his Sikh. And this Sikh was overcome with love. He couldn't see Guru Sahib, but he could hear him, he could feel him. And he placed his head at the feet of Guru Sahib, and Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj smiled at him. And he said, the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj offers you anything you want. And there are many different things that we could ask for today. There are many different things we ask for on a daily basis. But look at what this Sikh asked Guru Sahib for. He said, Guru Sahib, I was born blind. I've never seen anything in this world. Everything, all the pictures that come into my mind are based on what I hear, based on what I feel. Guruji, give me the eyesight so I can be blessed with your darshan. In this way, Satguru Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj blessed this Guru Sikh with the ability to see. And imagine that sight. Imagine the first thing you ever see was your beloved Guru, was Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj in all their splendor, wearing the Miri Piri, wearing the Kalgi, wearing the Bana, wearing the Kirpan. This Guru Sikh was overcome with love. When you've seen that, what else is there to see? And in this way, after a while, as the Guru Sikh was doing Sangat of Guru Sahib eventually said, I need to go back. The Sangat are waiting for me. I need to leave now. And this Guru Sikh began to cry. And he said, now that I've had your darshan, Guru Sahib, I never want to let go. But remember, in the same way, when a Guru Sikh in Orissa asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Maharaj, I never want to leave you. What did Guru Nanak Dev Ji say? He said, if you fall in love with my true form, if you fall in love with Mool Mantar, with Gur Mantar, with the Shabad, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji will come and reside in your heart itself. In this way, the Guru Sikh took some solace from this, but Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj said, I'll offer you one more thing. The house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj offers you one more thing. And what happened? What did this Guru Sikh ask for? This same Guru Sikh who had asked for Sat Sangat Ji, there are traffic wardens outside. So if you haven't parked in an appropriate place, now's the time to go and move your car. As we were saying, this Guru Sikh requested one more thing. And what did he request? The request that was made at the feet of Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj was, Maharaj, now that I've seen you, I never want to see anything else again. And he asked Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj to take away his eyesight, because he never wanted to see anything again. Once he'd seen Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, that was it. He was happy to live in darkness, but in reality he was living completely in light. He had seen Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj. And this way, Guru Sahib took away his eyesight. But look at the love between that Guru Sikh. Look at the compassion, look at the kindness of this warrior of warriors, the vanquisher of armies, the king of the Miri and the Piri. Now, this Astan, Sachkhand Bir Buddha Sahib, which is over 20 kilometers away from Amritsar. If you go there, that is exactly the place that Mata Ganga Ji stood and did a benti to Baba Buddha Ji. It's an Astan that if you go today, you'll still find people, couples who can't have children, going over there, placing themselves at the feet of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, doing seva over there, doing simran over there, asking for the blessing of a child. But it's very, very important to note that it's not only people who can't have a children who go over there and ask for that blessing. Couples who can have children, who are expecting children, go to that Asthan. Go and do seva over there. Go and do sangat over there. Why do they do that? Because they do a benti to Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that if we have a daughter, if we have a son, let them be like Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj. Let them be warriors, but let them be saints as well. Let them embody the whole Sansapai aspect, that philosophy of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And you can go today and you'll find people like that. There's a very interesting pankti that comes on Ang 371 that was written by Satguru Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. And that pankti is Bati Salakhini Sat Santat Poot. And if we look at the translation, it's not very accurate. Because what this is about, Bati is 32. Salakhini is a word for characteristic qualities that one must have. More specifically from a female perspective, Sach is true. Santat is to give, to bring forth, to produce. And Put is a word for a son. So if we look at the meanings, it means that one needs to have 32 qualities to produce a true son. Now the question is, what is a true son? What is a true daughter? The answer is, these are the qualities required to produce a Brahmgyani, one who is completely imbued in the love of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And it's qualities that sometimes we don't encounter, sometimes we don't consider. Now, when I was looking at this, when I was looking into this Pankti, I was reading different Granths and Steeks. A Steek written by Dr. Bhai Veer Singh, by Professor Sahib Singh, the Farid Gurdwara Steek, which is written by 52 Nirmala scholars. And they all had different meanings regarding these 32 qualities. But then I was listening to the Larivar Katha of Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji, who explains these 32 qualities. Now, on one hand, there are 32 qualities to produce a true son, but indeed, you can extrapolate it means much more. It's the form to do bhakti. And it's more than that. It's the definition that we need to apply to ourselves, because there's no way we can give birth to Brahmgyanis without having that same spirit within ourselves. And it's very interesting, because if you look at the family tree of Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji, and remember, Sant Ji was the 12th Jathadar of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Damdami Taksal, an institution that was designed to teach the correct meanings of Gurbani. And if you look at the life history of Sant Ji, in 1704, after the Jang of Sri Chankor Sahib, Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj stayed at a village called Akhara Nagar. And while he was there was a very old Sikh Bibi who did seva of him, and that was Mata Sevi Ji, a very, very long descendant of Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji. And she did seva of Guru Sahib for 2 days, and she's very, very in love with Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Charan Kamal. And she only had one benti, because Guru Sahib offered her everything. And what was that benti? That benti was, Guru Sahib, please keep Sikhi in my family. Never let my family fail in this path, no matter what comes their way. And in this way, if you look at every single Sikh who was born in that family, from Mata Sevi Ji right down to Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji, and right continuing to this day, that family remains Parbak in Sikhi. But it's interesting, Mata Anand Kaur, the mother of Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji, before Sant Ji was born, Mata Ji used to do, well, she still did 25 Japji Sahib part, 2 Sukhmani Sahib part. She spent the whole day doing Sahaj part, Mool Mantar, Gur Mantar, the Panj Granthi. In the house that Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji was born, Gurbani was going 24/7. And in this way, in 1902, on the 12th of February, Sant Ji was born into this household. And what's the first thing that was done? Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji's aunt took him into the darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And from a very, very early age, this link was formed. Now, a lot of the times when we have any happiness or even sadness, we organize an Akhand part, we organize a Sahaj part. And in that way, sometimes we only sit down for 1 or 2 hours during the whole part and think we've done a Mahan Seva, think we've done something great by organizing this. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, it's very, very good. But look at what Mata Anand Kaur did. Look at what the family of Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji did. They organized a Sahaj part, but the Sahaj part was only conducted when Mata Anand Kaur Ji and Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji was sat in Sad Sangat. If they left, if they stopped the Sahaj part, and that was done for 40 days. So from a very, very, very young age, the teachings of Gurbani, the philosophy of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was imbibed within Sant Gyani Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji. And where was that teaching come from? The teaching came from Mata Anand Kaur. Santji's father was in Burma at the time, was a Granthi Singh on the frontier in Burma. Sikhi starts from the mother. And look at the history, because when Santji was 13 months old, Mata Anand Kaur left this world. And who raised him then? His grandmother, Mata Raj Kaur. Again, a very, very high Gursikh. Very, very spiritual, very elevated Gursikh. Now, what I want you to do is go through some of the qualities, some of the 32 Salakani. And the way I want to go through it is to talk about it, but then give you an example from history. But the important thing to realize is when we reflect on our history, when we reflect on all these things, that we realize history is not meant for books. Teachings, these qualities aren't meant for books to listen to and then think about. They're meant to be acted in our lives. They're meant to be followed on a daily basis. That's the only way that we're going to progress in this path. That's the only way that we're going to become one with Akal, that we're going to become one with Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. This is a picture of Bibi Pani Ji, sorry. This is she was the daughter of Satguru Shri Guru Amar Das Ji. She was the mahal of Satguru Shri Guru Ram Das Ji, the mother of Satguru Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the grandmother of Satguru Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, the great-grandmother of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. So she was a very, very prominent position that she had in Guru Sahib's Darbar. And the first Lakshmi that's talked about is true beauty. Now in the West, when we hear about beauty, it's a very, very formal definition, a very stringent definition that we get, which is based on what society wants people to look like. And it varies depending on whereabouts you go in the world, and that just shows that it's a false beauty. So much emphasis is placed on the physical characteristics. But one day that physical shell is going to turn into dust. I remember when I was a student at Liverpool, I was involved in some pathology tutorials, and one of my consultants was doing a post-mortem, and he invited me to join along, to come in and see what it's about. And he had five different bodies. And the people from very young ages who had died to very old ages, of different colors, of different backgrounds. But a very, very interesting thing, as soon as that knife went in, 1 or 2 centimeters, everyone looked exactly the same. They had the same organs, they had the same blood. There was no different. This physical shell means nothing. And yet people place so much emphasis on this. Again, I remember when I was doing my psychiatric placement, we went to see some people who are suffering from anorexia, a disease where people are so obsessed by their body image that they'll starve themselves. For what? When people are starving in Africa and India, people in this country itself, so obsessed by their body image, so obsessed by the images which are produced by the Western media, that they go to those extremes. Now what is true beauty? Guru Sahib has said time and time again in Gurbani, true beauty are the ones who do satsang, the ones who do kirtan, the ones who follow Khalsa Rayat Maryada, the ones who are imbued in seva, the ones who love Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. They're the true beautiful people in this world. Remember, this roop wasn't given by anyone to you. This roop is the roop of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj himself. Now, Bibi Pani Ji, when she was very, very young, she lived a life completely full of Gursikhi, completely full of seva, completely full of Simran, completely full of everything. And when her friends would come to her house and ask her to come outside and play, she would ask permission from her father, Satguru Shri Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj. And Maharaj would give it. And she'd go outside and she'd be playing. But while the other Bibis were busy, engrossed in all sorts of things, what was Bibi Pani Ji thinking about? Bibi Pani Ji used to always utter these 2 panktis which come in Sohela Sahib. Kar kar eho poucha sadre nit pavan, Saddan Hara Sindhe Nanak Se Deyavan. She always remembered death. She always realized that time was coming. And what did she do? Instead of sitting down and playing with her friends, she got them to sit down and recite Gur Mantra, to sit down and recite Mool Mantra, to sit down and recite the praises of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, the Kirtan of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. That's what true beauty is. There's another story from her life when a Gursikh came into the darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Amar Das Ji. And he told the Sangat, he told Guru Sahib that I want to make an offering to Bibi Pani Ji. And what was that offering? That offering was a Maya. Why did he want to offer Maya? Because he said that Bibi Pani Ji was wearing very old clothes, very tattered clothes. All her friends had very nice clothes. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but look at the response that Bibi Pani Ji gave. Because sometimes we go around running after sales, running after different things, of these materialistic things which are going to disappear. What did Bibi Pani Ji do? What did she say? She said, put the money in the golak, put the money to feed the Sat Sangat. Not like us today. Bibi Pani Ji spent her whole life in the seva of the Guru Kar. That's what true beauty is. The next quality, modesty. Now modesty applies to both settings. One, dressing modestly from a physical perspective. But more importantly, being modest from inside. That attribute, not being boastful, being completely full of humility. And this is probably the greatest quality of the mothers and daughters of the Khalsa Panth. Which is why you don't really hear of that many. You don't read about them in books that often. But the seva that they have done can never be surpassed. They're the ones who bring up the next generation of sons, the next generation of warriors, the next generation of sapais. They're brought up by the mothers of the Khalsa Panth, by the daughters of the Khalsa Panth. Sometimes we do very, very little seva and we think we're very Mahan. We begin to shout it out. Now there's a story that Gursikh was telling me of a Bibi in Africa, in Tanzania. Because remember, before people came to this country, before Sikhs came in large numbers to Canada, America, and England, the first place they went was Africa. And what's the first place that they did? What's the first thing that they did? They began to build dharamshalas. They began to build Gurdwara Sahibs. And in this way, there was a Gurdwara Sahib built in a place called Taboro, very remote area. And the Sangat were large in numbers. They would sit there, they would do Kirtan, they would do Nama Abhyas. And if you go to that Gurdwara Sahib, there's a plaque which says Singh Sabha 1909 on it, which shows you how old this Gurdwara Sahib is. Now, as time went on, people began to leave this area. People began to leave that particular place. Until one day there were only two people left, a husband and a wife. And they would do seva of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. They kept the Guru Kar open. They kept that darbar, which is open to every single person, open. Until one day, what happened? According to the will of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, the husband passed away. He died. And now the Bibi was left alone. And the Sangat came from different places in that country, in Tanzania, to help with the funeral rites of the husband. And after they did everything, they approached the Bibi. And what did they say to her? What did they ask her? They said that now, what we feel is we should close this Gurdwara Sahib down. We should take Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj away from this place, take it back to the capital city, take it to a different place where there are more Sangat, where there are more Gursikhs. Now, what did this Bibi say? And remember, we're talking about modesty. We don't even know what her name was. This Bibi said, I am over here. I will do the seva of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Do you not realize that it's not only Sikhs who come to the darbar of Maharaj, it's people from all walks of life. So many people have come here and placed everything at the feet of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. In that way, I will do that seva. I am the daughter of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. So long as there's breath in my life, I will do that. And this way, she did that seva of Guru Sahib. That's what true modesty is about. That's what true love is about. And although we talk about individual qualities, in reality, all of these Guru Sikh women that we're talking about had all the qualities we speak about, all these 32 Salakini. But I'm just focusing on individual ones, just to give you an example, to show you what the role models that we have, what sort of bibis that we should aspire, that both men and women should be aspire to be like. Intellect, buddhi, that doesn't apply to worldly intellect, because intellect means studies of the mind, but more specifically, it means the ability to see what is true, to see what is real. Now, as I said, this is not intellect based on worldly knowledge, this is intellect based on Gurmat, understanding what that involves, understanding that your Guru's way is the perfect way. The worldly ways, while it's good to have worldly knowledge, that's not what's going to help you in the end. We go back to the time in Chamkaur Sahib, 1704. This is a picture, this is a drawing, an artist's impression of Bibi Harcharan Kaur, who is known as the last Shaheed of the battle, the Jang of Chamkaur Sahib. Now, we already spoke about Chamkaur Sahib previously in another class, but over 40 Gursikhs fought against 1 million soldiers. And what happened? Following the battle, the bodies of the Singhs, the body of the Sahibzade, the body of 3 of the Panch Pyare were lying in the battlefield amongst hundreds of thousands of Mughal soldiers. And this Bibi, who lived not too far away from Chamkaur Sahib, was sat down with her mother, and she did her ardas. She was engrossed in Naam Simran. And what happened? She had a vision of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And what did Maharaj tell her? Maharaj gave a hukam for her to go and do seva in the battlefield of the Singhs, to go and cremate the bodies of the Sahibzade, the body of the 3 Panch Pyare, the body of the other Shaheed Singhs. And how old was Bibi Harcharan Kaur? Bibi Harcharan Kaur was 16 years old. And remember, this was only a few days after the battle had finished. A battle where 1 million soldiers were amassed. Where these soldiers who were still surviving were still guarding that place so that no Singh or Singhni could come and do that seva. And what happened? Bibi Harcharan Kaur, remember, if we use worldly intellect, who would go and do that? Who would go into a fort which is surrounded by Mughal army officers carrying all sorts of weapons, who are there to kill anyone who tries and approach over there, who comes and tries and do that seva? Who would approach that using a worldly intellect? Remember, Bibi Harcharan Kaur used the Gurmat intellect, saw that this world was temporary, saw that this hukam was given by Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And she approached her mother and asked blessings to go and do the seva. And her mother said, how will you reach over there? How will you go over there? You're only 16 years old. And what was Bibi Harcharan Kaur Ji's reply? So I am the daughter of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. He has placed his hand on my head. I have nothing to fear. In this way, Bibi Harcharan Kaur made it to the battlefield. She found the bodies of the Shaheed Singhs. She found the bodies of the Sahibzade, the bodies of the 3 Panch Pyare. And she did that seva. And what happened as she was doing the seva? As that fire was lit, the Mughal soldiers woke up. They realized someone was there, someone was doing the seva. And they became furious. And they surrounded her. They went to that place where it was. And they spoke to Bibi Harcharan Kaur and said, what are you doing over here? And she said, I am the daughter of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. I am doing seva of my brothers. I am doing seva of my fathers. And remember, the worldly king had declared that no one can do this. If you see anyone, any Sikh, you kill them. So what happened? These Mughal soldiers attacked Bibi Hasharan Kaur. And she defended herself because Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj didn't only give a kirpan to the Singhs, didn't only give Shastra to the Singhs, he gave them to his Kaurs as well, to his daughters as well. She defended herself, but in the battle, the Mughal soldiers managed to get hold of her, and what did they do? They threw her into the fire itself, and she became shaheed by being burnt alive. In the same way, like her elder brother that we spoke about last time, by Sati Das Ji. And it's very, very important that when we think about Chamkaur Sahib, we remember her sacrifice. Because sometimes our historians, sometimes when we speak about it, we forget it, sometimes we neglect that. The next quality, stubbornness, but not in a negative light. Stubbornness for acting righteously, for always doing the right thing, no matter what. Now this is the Bibi from the times of Bhai Sahib Bhai Rajinder Singh Ji, a Brahmgyani of the Panth, whose books, if you read, are full of Gurmat, will inspire you to walk in this path of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And Bibi Sukhdev Kaur, some people say, was the niece of Bhai Sahib Bhai Rajinder Singh Ji. Irrespective if she had a worldly relationship with Bhai Sahib, she was she did a lot of sangat of him, she did a lot of seva of him, and she learnt a lot from Bhai Sahib Bhai Rajinder Singh Ji. And what happened? One day, when she got to an age that she was about to get married, her family had decided to marry her into the family of Manmukhs, of people who didn't follow this path, of people who didn't follow Gursikhi, of people who weren't imbued in the love of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And when we speak about stubbornness for acting righteously, never backing down, what happened? Bibi Ji said, I'm not going to get married to this person. I'm only going to get married to a Gurmukh. I'm only going to get married to a Gursikh. I'm only going to get married to that person who follows the teachings of Satguru Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And her brother, hearing this, got very, very annoyed. He said, I've got an axe, I've got a sword, our honor is at stake. If you don't follow what we're asking you to do, I'll kill you. This is what her own brother was telling her. And in this way, he dragged her out into the animal yard. He took out his sword, and what did Bibi Ji do? She said to him that you are very proud of your sword, but I'm very proud of my Guru. I'm very proud of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And what did she start doing? Whenever we have problems, what should we start doing? We should start placing our head at the feet of Guru Sahib. We should start doing that Mul Mantra, that Guru Mantra, that Naam Abhyas, which she started doing. And what happened? She had Pratak Darshan of Satguru Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, who blessed her with his mala that you can see in this picture. It's a very, very unique darshan because a lot of people see it and that's the only evidence. But look at this. And in this way, her brother completely backed down. He said, you've won. And what happened? This Bibi was taken back into her house. Her mother started crying. But she was so firm in her principles. She was so firm in Gurmat that she didn't allow this to happen. And she eventually married a Gursikh. But this is very, very important because a lot of the time, people like me fail on this quality. We bend down to worldly things. We bend down to the request of our family. We sacrifice a lot and we walk away from this path. And who knows what damage we've done. We should keep this very much in our minds. The next quality, Sahirda, good heart, friendly. This is the story of Bibi Rajni Ji. Now it's a very, very beautiful story because the ending, what happens is amazing. We talk about friendly, we talk about Sahirda. This is the quality that Bhai Kanhaiya Ji had, where he sees Guru Sahib in every single person. Bibi Rajni Ji was the seventh daughter of a revenue collector during the Vela of Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj. Her father had 6 daughters prior to her being born, and he did a benti to Akal Purkh. He did all sorts of prayers, all sorts of different things were done. All sorts of seva was done so that he would be blessed with a son. And what happened? When his wife gave birth, it was another daughter. And in this way, he completely lost faith in God. He completely lost faith in the Akal Purkh. And he thought to himself that everything I've achieved, everything I've ever wanted, everything comes from myself, comes from my own hard work, doesn't come from Guru Sahib, doesn't come from Akal Purkh. And he taught his daughters this as well. He shared that philosophy with them. And they all believed this, apart from one. It was only Bibi Rajni Ji who realized every single thing that we have, even this very breath, every morsel of food that we have, comes from the court of Akal Purkh, comes from the blessings of Satguru Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And he heard her saying this to her sisters. And what did he do? He decided, right, if you think that Akal Purkh gives you everything, if you think Waheguru gives you everything, then we're going to get you married to a leper. Think about that. Her own father was to get her married to a leper. A leper is someone people stay away from because they're worried they'll get that illness. When you have leprosy, you develop something called peripheral neuropathy, which means that you lose sensation in your arms and legs. Your arms and legs begin to drop off. You become a cripple. But she didn't question this. She didn't ask anything. She happily undertook her fate, recognizing this is the will of Akal Purkh. And this way, Bibi Rajni Ji, she was married to someone called Bhai Mohan Ji, whose picture you can see, who's in that cart. And she pulled him everywhere. And she did all sorts of seva for him while keeping the praises of Akal Purkh on her mouth, while recognizing this is the will of Akal Purkh. She never complained about this. And eventually, as she was drenched in the name of Akal Purkh, as she was drenched in these prayers, as she was drenched in Naam Abhyas, she reached that same place that we go. Sachkhand Shri Harmandir Sahib. She reached the lake of Tan Tan Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj. She went to go and look for some food for her husband who was hungry. And what did her husband see? What did Bhai Mohan Ji see? Bhai Mohan Ji saw a very wounded duck go into the sarovar and come out as a duckling. Come up as the swan, sorry. And Bhai Mohan Ji decided, I'm going to go in the sarovar. And what happened? Bhai Mohan Ji went in the sarovar. And he came out, and all his leprosy had gone. And when Bibi Rajni came back and found him, she didn't recognize this person. She thought this wasn't her husband, this was someone else. But Bhai Mohan Ji hadn't put one finger into the sarovar, and that still had leprosy, and she recognized this is the work of Guru Sahib. This was the work of Akal Purkh. And both of them, Bhai Mohan Ji and Bibi Rajni Ji, went into the darbar of Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj. Maharaj blessed them. He gave them seva to do at that very place. Bibi Rajni Ji ended up having 7 children. The first one was called Gurmukh. It was named by Satguru Shri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj. But there's something very, very interesting that happens in this story. Bibi Rajni Ji's father, Rai Duni Chand, began to lose all his wealth. Everything that he was proud of, he began to lose until he was very, very poor. And then he approached his 6 daughters. And he didn't find any respite over there. He didn't find any place to go and stay over there. Who is the one that took him in? Who is the one that looked after him? Who is the one that did his seva? It was Bibi Rajni Ji. He came and lived with her. Bibi Rajni Ji accepted him no matter what. So pure was her heart. That very person who had married her to a leper, who did away with her, who made her bear untold suffering, took that father in and looked after him. Right till the day he died. Now, it's already 12:30, and I think we should stop over here. But if anyone wants to listen to the remainder of this lecture, the remainder of this discussion, we'll continue at 1:15 after Langar.
How long's left?
Long. About an hour.
About an hour. Right.
Okay. For this part, I'm really, really sorry for any mistakes that I've made. Please forgive me and accept me as your younger brother. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.